car is this?
It's mine. I'm test driving. Temp tag's in the window. Paperwork's right here.
Step out. Now.
What's the reason for the stop?
Don't play games. Step out.
The body cam caught the moment the officer decided, not the moment he verified, not the moment he asked a question, the moment he decided. "Whose car is this?" the officer demanded, flashlight beam cutting through the windshield like a blade. Malik Sanders kept both hands on the steering wheel, fingers spread, palms open, doing the calm choreography. People learn when they realize calm is the only shield they're allowed to carry. "It's mine," Malik said, voice steady. "I'm test driving it. The dealer's temporary tag is in the back window. The paperwork is right here." The officer didn't glance at the tag, didn't glance at the paperwork. He leaned in closer. "Uh-huh," he said, like the words themselves were suspicious. Then, as if the night needed to be turned up a notch, he said the sentence that changed the entire stop. "Step out, now." Malik blinked once, not slow, not dramatic, just the kind of blink that says, "I heard you, and I also heard the danger behind it." "Officer," Malik said carefully, "what's the reason for the stop?" The officer's jaw tightened. "Don't play games," he snapped. "Step out." The patrol lights washed the dashboard in red-blue pulses. A car passed on the far lane, tires hissing on damp pavement. Somewhere nearby, a train horn sounded and faded, and Malik, software engineer, 34, the kind of man who debugged systems for a living, realized he'd been pulled into a different kind of system, one that didn't care how logical he was, one that cared how compliant he looked, because by the time the city wrote a $1.2 million payout check, it wasn't paying for a traffic stop. It was paying for the footage, paying for the moment the officer ignored verification, paying for the moment a test drive turned into an accusation, paying for the lesson that a camera forced into daylight. Rewind. To the day, Malik decided to buy the car. It wasn't impulsive. Malik didn't do impulsive. He built his life in spreadsheets and timelines. Rent, savings, student loans, retirement contributions, the slow math of stability. He'd grown up watching his mother stretch paychecks until they looked like miracles. His father had worked warehouse shifts and came home with hands that always looked tired. Malik learned early that nice things aren't nice, they're earned, and if you earn them, you protect them. He got into engineering because he liked systems, because systems, in theory, are fair. Inputs, outputs, rules, and Malik believed, at least a little, that if you followed the rules long enough, life would meet you halfway. By his early 30s, he had the job. Senior developer at a logistics tech company, good salary, good benefits, and enough discipline to finally do something he'd promised himself he would do one day. Buy a new car, not new to him, new, the kind that smells like plastic and possibility. The kind you sign for with a pen that feels too small for the moment. He chose a sleek sedan, deep metallic gray, with the driver assist package and the upgraded sound system. Nothing exotic, just clean, quiet, a cabin that made you feel like the world couldn't reach you for a second. The dealership sat on the edge of the suburbs. Bright lights, giant glass windows, rows of cars lined up like trophies. Malik arrived after work, still in his button-down laptop bag on his shoulder. The salesperson was friendly at first, then slightly surprised. Then, once Malik started asking detailed questions about warranty terms and financing rates, respectful, because competence has a way of forcing respect, even when people don't offer it freely. By 8:40 p.m., the paperwork was mostly done. The dealer still needed one last signature the next morning. The bank transfer would clear overnight. But Malik wanted to feel the car, not just sit in it, drive it, hear it, make sure it was real. The salesperson handed him a temporary tag, and a thick folder of documents. "Take it for a spin," he said. 10, 15 minutes. Malik nodded. He slid into the driver's seat. The dashboard lit up. The screen greeted him. And for the first time in a long time, Malik felt something rare. Pride, not loud, quiet, personal. He eased out of the lot and onto the boulevard. The route Malik chose was simple. A loop through well-lit streets, a stretch of highway, back to the dealership. He wasn't speeding. He wasn't showing off. He wasn't racing anyone. He was listening, feeling the brakes, testing the steering, letting the cabin go quiet enough to hear if anything sounded wrong. And that's when he noticed the patrol car, in the mirror, not behind him at first, 2 lanes over, rolling steady, then shifting, then settling behind him. Red and blue lights flashed, not full emergency, just enough. The universal signal, pull over. Malik's stomach tightened. He signaled. He slowed. He pulled to the shoulder smoothly. He did everything right, because he knew the rules, and he knew something else too. The rules don't always protect you. The officer approached fast. Officer Jared Klein, late 20s, sharp voice, that restless energy new officers sometimes carry, like they're waiting for a moment to prove they matter. His flashlight cut across Malik's hands, then his face, then the interior, then back to Malik's face. "License," Klein said. Malik nodded. "Of course," he replied. "This is a test drive. The paperwork is in the folder. I'm going to reach slowly." "Don't reach," Klein snapped. Malik froze. The folder was on the passenger seat. His wallet was in his pocket. The temporary tag was visible in the back window. The dealership logo was on the floor mat. Everything was screaming verification. Klein ignored all of it. "Step out," he repeated. Malik swallowed. "Officer," he said, still measured, "what's the reason for the stop?" Klein's eyes narrowed. "Reason?" he repeated, like the word offended him. "The reason is you're driving a vehicle that doesn't come back right." Malik blinked. "Doesn't come back right?" "Plates not matching," Klein said. "Could be stolen." Stolen. That word lands differently when you're the one being looked at like a suspect. Malik's voice stayed calm. "It's a temp tag," he said. "Dealer issued. It might not be in the system yet. The paperwork—" Klein cut him off. "I'm not here for your explanations," he said. "Step out." Here's the part people don't understand until they've lived it. When an officer says step out, the argument isn't about the door. It's about control. Because once you're out, you're easier to move, easier to search, easier to detain, easier to turn into a story. Malik took a slow breath. He opened the door carefully. He stepped out, hands visible, no sudden movements. The night air hit his face, cool and damp. Klein directed him to the rear of the car. "Hands on the trunk," he ordered. Malik complied, cold metal under his palms, patrol lights painting his sleeves in color. Klein patted him down, not gentle, not brutal, just efficient enough to feel dehumanizing. "Where'd you get the car?" Klein asked. "The dealership," Malik replied. "Northgate Auto. I'm test driving. My paperwork is in the passenger seat. You can call the dealer." Klein snorted. "Everybody's got a story," he muttered. Malik's jaw tightened. "Officer," he said, "it's not a story, it's a transaction." Klein ignored him. He walked to the passenger side, shined his light on the folder. And here, this is where the Bodycam became a lawsuit, because Klein didn't open the folder. He didn't read it. He didn't take the 30 seconds it would have taken to see Malik's name printed on a purchase order. He glanced, then decided it was insufficient. "You got anything else?" he asked. "My driver's license," Malik said. "In my pocket. I told you—" Klein raised his voice. "Stop talking." Malik went still. A car passed, slow, rubbernecking. Someone's phone glowed in a window, and Malik felt the familiar calculation. How do you stay alive when the person with authority is already irritated? Klein called for backup. Then he called for a tow. "Hold up," Malik said, voice tightening despite his effort. "Tow? Officer, you can verify this right now. Call the dealer. Look at the paperwork. The temp tag." Klein stepped in closer. "You want to argue?" he said. "I want you to verify," Malik replied. Klein's hand drifted toward his cuffs. "You're being detained," he said. "Detained? For what? For test driving? For asking for verification? For not sounding scared? Enough?" Malik looked directly at the body camera. "For the record," he said, voice steady, "I'm cooperating. I'm requesting verification. The paperwork is in the car. The dealership can confirm. You're threatening tow and detention without checking." Klein flinched slightly. Not fear, annoyance, as if being recorded was an insult. Backup arrived. Officer Renee Alvarez, older, calmer. She stepped out, took in Malik's posture, hands visible, calm stance, and then took in Klein's tone. "What's the situation?" Alvarez asked. Klein spoke fast. "Possible stolen," he said. "Temp tag not coming back. He's refusing to—" Malik cut in carefully. "I'm not refusing," he said. "I offered paperwork. I offered to have them call the dealership. I offered my license. I'm asking for verification." Alvarez's eyes narrowed. She looked at Klein. "Did you run the VIN?" she asked. Klein hesitated. "Not yet," he admitted. Alvarez exhaled. "Run the VIN," she said. Klein bristled. "It's a temp tag issue," he said. Alvarez didn't move. "Run the VIN." Klein did. He walked to the windshield, read the number, typed it in. Seconds passed. Then his posture changed. Not relief, not apology. Just the uncomfortable shift of someone realizing the system never supported their certainty. Alvarez looked at the screen, then at Malik. "It's not stolen," she said. Silence. A long one. Klein's jaw clenched. Malik stared, not triumphant, just exhausted. Alvarez continued. "The car is registered to the dealer," she said. "No theft report. Temp tag is valid." Klein swallowed. He didn't apologize. He said, "Okay." As if okay could erase the last 10 minutes. As if okay could erase the words stolen and detained and tow. Alvarez handed Malik his license back after finally allowing him to retrieve it. "Sir," she said, voice measured, "you're free to go." Malik nodded once. Then he asked the question that mattered. "Officer," he said, looking at Klein, "what exactly made you think I stole a car from a dealership with a temp tag in the window?" Klein's eyes flicked away. He didn't answer, because the real answer wasn't about evidence, it was about assumption. Malik drove back to the dealership with his hands still slightly trembling on the wheel. The cabin still smelled new, but the feeling was gone. The pride had been interrupted. He parked, walked inside, and the salesperson took one look at his face. "You okay?" he asked. Malik stared for a second. Then he said, "I got stopped. They said the car might be stolen." The salesperson blinked. "That's crazy," he said. "It's our temp tag. Happens sometimes with the system." System? Malik nodded, except he knew it wasn't just the system, because the system could have been checked. The officer chose not to. That night, Malik went home and pulled the body cam through a public request. He pulled the dash cam angle from a passing rideshare that happened to record the stop. He saved every document from the dealership, and he called an attorney, not because he wanted a payday, because he wanted a record, because he understood something about institutions. If you don't make them write the truth, they will write what they can survive. The city's response was predictable. Officer safety. Database discrepancy. Routine stop. But Malik's attorney didn't argue in generalities. He argued in seconds. The seconds where Klein refused to read the paperwork, the seconds where he called for a tow before verifying, the seconds where Malik calmly requested verification, the seconds where Klein treated calm questions like defiance, and the seconds where a second officer solved the entire problem by running the VIN, a step that should have happened first. Here's the twist that pushed this from a complaint into a payout. During discovery, it came out that Officer Klein had been coached before. A training note about premature escalation, a supervisor reminder about verification before detention, and a prior citizen complaint describing Klein as aggressive during low-risk stops. Not enough to fire him, enough to show a pattern. And patterns are what cities fear, because patterns tell juries this isn't a one-off, it's a habit. Malik's lawsuit alleged unlawful detention, civil rights violations, emotional distress, interference with liberty, and failure to train and supervise. It argued that the stop wasn't about a tag, because the tag could have been verified. It was about suspicion attached to a body, and suspicion treated like enough. Public reaction flared when the clip hit local news. A young professional in a polo, hands on the trunk, an officer saying, "could be stolen," a calm voice saying, "verify." And then the second officer saying, "it's not stolen." People recognized the pattern instantly. The refusal to verify, the escalation, the silent non-apology. The city didn't want trial, not with Bodycam, not with paperwork, not with a simple question a jury would ask. Why didn't the officer just check? Because when a case comes down to that question, the city loses control of the narrative. So negotiations happened. Quiet, risk-managed, and eventually, the payout. $1.2 million. No admission, no confession. But policy changes, verification procedures for temp tags, mandatory VIN checks before tow requests, supervisor review when cuffs or detention language is used without arrest, bodycam audits on escalation during traffic stops, and training that, on paper, sounded obvious. Verify before you accuse. Malik did buy the car. That part matters. Because the easiest victory for suspicion is to make you abandon what you earned. Signed the final paperwork. He took the keys. He drove it home, but he drove with a new awareness, not paranoia, precision. He kept the documents in the glove box. He kept his phone charged. He started noticing where cameras were, because the lesson wasn't that he did something wrong. The lesson was that verification is not automatic. You sometimes have to demand it. Months later, a reporter asked Malik what bothered him the most. They expected him to say the stop, the lights, the trunk, the tow threat. Malik paused. Then he said, "The worst part was how easy it was for him to ignore the proof." He let the words sit. "I had paperwork," he continued. "I had a temp tag. I had a dealer's name. I had everything. And he still chose suspicion. That's not a system glitch. That's a choice." And that brings us back to the body cam, the blinking red light, the officer's voice, the moment he decided before he verified. A test drive shouldn't become a trial. A new car shouldn't come with a police interrogation. But when verification becomes optional and assumption becomes policy, the most ordinary moments turn dangerous. The city paid $1.2 million for the lesson, but the real cost was paid earlier, in the seconds where Malik had to stay calm, stay visible, stay alive, while someone else treated his pride like probable cause.